It's been a hard day. I lost my convoy. I lost my crew. I'm gonna have to start again. And I'm driving off thinking I ought to start with you. You got good vision. You read the play and you keep your head. You may be raw, but you have about you a purposeful savagery. You give me time, I'll teach you everything you need to know about road war. If you survive everything we take on together, you'll have all the skills you need to get wherever you want to go. No questions asked.
All right, guys, it's time to say goodbye to the Mad Max Saga. This time with Furiosa, which is called Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga.
Even though Mad Max isn't in it, despite a very small cameo, that is actually important to the plot, but we'll get to it.
Yes, he is in it. And yeah, we'll dive into that scene. I almost wish Tom Hardy had a slightly bigger part, even if it was a 10-minute part. But yeah, so they decided to go a different direction. This was kind of already pre-written as a treatment or something like that. George Miller already had kind of a spin-off idea. Not a big fan of spin-offs just because lately with the Star Wars and the Marvels, they're doing my fucking head in. I was like, oh, God, do we need this? But when you get an Oscar-nominated performance from the wonderful, wonderful Charlize Theron and pretty much the scene stealer of the film, and why not? Go for it. But you decide not to go with the girl herself, Charlize Theron. Now, George Miller says he would have went with her in 2 seconds flat, not a problem, but you would have to do some de-aging with her. And George Miller's not a big CGI guy. He will use it, obviously, if he needs to, but he doesn't like it depend on it, and he didn't want people looking at the de-aging of the actress rather than what's the surroundings, the environment that they're in. And I kind of got that. And so he decided to cast a newcomer, well, up-and-comer. Well, she's been around a couple of years. Anya Taylor-Joy. And she actually pulls off. She looks a lot like her.
Yeah.
So
I would say as well, Alea Brown is worthy of mention too, who plays the young Furiosa basically in the first act. And she has quite a lot of, stuff to do. So, yeah, she deserves mention as well, I think. She's actually very good as a child actress. And I don't even like child actresses, or actors,
Yeah, give her a shout. A lot of staring. George Miller's back, of course, and the rest of the team from Fury Road, they're all back. Same crew and all. And as we talked about it real quickly with Fury Road, this movie tanked. And I thought about it. Now it's going to find its footing. I've already bought it on 4K. It's going to make its money back. It made money back, but you need to almost double your money to see a profit. So it's got a little ways to go. Now, I'm hoping what George Miller would do then would do a little less commercial version, Fury Road and Furiosa, and strip down the Road Warrior itself and go back to basics.
Back to roots.
And maybe give us an ending with Tom Hardy and Furiosa, teaming up again. That'd be kind of cool because you don't need to spend $150 million to do this movie if you want to do it old school way, So hopefully Warner Brothers and him will kind of do a good swan song, I guess is the perfect term to use.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it, with Mel Gibson returning as well.
I mean, but I think you're at that point. That's maybe an older version of Tom Hardy at the end would be kind of cool. Like flash forward and there's Mel Gibson sitting next to the car. Something that'd be kind of cool. But we're not there yet, and hopefully we do get some kind of a swan song for everyone involved in this in these projects. Now, the reason I think it tanked, and I'm shocked, literally fucking shocked. We live in a world where fucking Barbie makes $1 billion. That terrible Oppenheimer, which I don't get, makes $1 billion, and yet this film just barely touches 100. Shocked. I don't get it. Now, I thought about it before this podcast. Now, the reason I think this tanked is a couple different reasons. One, what I first mentioned, it's a spinoff. People are sick of Marvel. They're sick of Star Wars. So when they think spinoff, they're like, fuck me, here we go, another spinoff. I do think that is the big one. Number two, I think people are disappointed that George Miller did not cast Charlize Theron. That's kind of why I brought it up in the beginning. He wanted to, but that was his reason, and I give him credit where credit's due. I can see where he was at with that. And 3 is Mad Max is not in it.
100%. That's what I was just about to say. And also, I would say, but I mean, there's multiple other reasons, like, things being rushed so quickly on the streaming services. Also, sadly, general audience members, I do not believe that they were invested enough with the character of Furiosa, aside from even, Mad Max being there. Yes, she's a pretty cool character in Fury Road and stuff, and everybody likes Charlize Theron. She's always very impressive. But as for the character of Furiosa herself, general audience members were just not invested enough with her, or even knew enough about her. It's different for nerds like us and Mad Max fans who know her, but we're not the majority, So that's a big problem,
Yeah. So there's quite a few reasons, I'm sure, but it is what it is. And maybe it'll find its footing once people watch and go, "Hey, fuck, that was actually quite good." I mean, I saw this thing 3 times in the theater.
I saw it twice in
and I wasn't
cinema.
bored. Yeah, and I just watched it again, like I said, back to back with Fury Road. So, and I am still enjoying it. Now, it has lost a little value with me. I overhyped it when I first saw it, and now when you see it a little more, and you kind of relaxed, and you're in your 4th or 5th viewing,
Dust settles.
The dust settles a bit, and you kind of see what went wrong a little bit with it.
I would agree with that, because with me, I thought it was incredible, and I thought, for seeing it for the first couple of times in the cinema, but now that the dust has settled a bit, whereas whenever I first watched it, those first couple of times, I thought, I think this is maybe even better than Fury Road. And while certain aspects of it, I still think is, as I discussed in the previous podcast, like sort of general plot and story and characterization, overall, Fury Road still blows it away.
Yeah, we'll dive into the comparisons here in a second. Now, it wouldn't be a Mad Max film, technically, or a Mad Max spin-off film, without these names. We got Furiosa, Dementus, Praetorian Jack, the History Man, Morton Joe, the People Eater, the Organic Mechanic, Rictus Rectus, Scrotus, Smeg, the Octoboss, Fang, and Squint. So there you go.
The People Eater, great to see the People Eater, the Organic Mechanic back. And did you know the People Eater's backstory, which I read up upon, is crazy. He's basically a cannibal. He eats people. That's why he's called the People Eater. And the reason that he's all deformed with the big foot and stuff is because he's basically it's due to his cannibalism and his eating of other people.
Okay, good to know. So we opened up and we talked about Valkyrie. Now we meet Valkyrie at a young age. We saw her near the tip end there, Fury Road. Yes. Valkyrie is obviously Furiosa's kid sister. And we see her. I don't get why she took a chance on disabling their bikes. She should just let them go.
Yes.
Or she couldn't let them go.
Well,
because they didn't want... They couldn't let them go because they didn't want them to leave and tell people where this place was.
Exactly. That's what it was. Because the green place has to be protected which is actually, their little community is actually quite selfish. I can understand their reasons for it in that they don't want these basically lunatics, taking over and destroying their paradise. But at the same time, they're being quite selfish in that they're letting the rest of the world suffer while they have it good. But yeah, that's still,
Yeah, but the rest of the world is a bunch of mad fuckers.
What about Pert?
I think it's a judgment call. I mean, she can look at the people that, you could tell right away that they're scumbags. So
why would you not want the People Eater and Dementus in your community?
Fuck
and
that.
Rictus Erectus?
We probably have them somewhere. You know what? We all probably have a People Eater somewhere in our neighborhood. Yep. We just don't know who.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say
there's
much worse than People Eaters out there in the real world. Trust me.
So when she gets kidnapped, beautiful desert scenery coming up here during day and night. Incredible. And so when the one guy, I can't remember his name, the guy with no eyeball.
Yes.
Takes credit. He's trying to take credit for finding the green place, but it's the other guy who did it. Furiosa wraps his neck around a chain and pulls him off his bike. And then we see the guy come into the tent. He's all bloody and choking. Was that because Furiosa did that to him with the chain? Or did the guy with the one eye do that to him?
The guy with the one eye, I believe, did it to him, although it's not explicitly stated. It was one-eyed headdress guy who did it, I believe, because they were looking to be rewarded by Dementis for finding the...
Yes, that's what I thought at first. But if you see the wound, it's around his whole neck. It's a gaping wound that she wrapped around his neck and pulled him off the bike. So I wasn't sure if Furiosa actually
and then don't forget, Furiosa's mother was also like shooting at him and firing harpoons at him and stuff as well. So it actually could have been her. Now, see, when I rewatched this for the podcast,
no, it wasn't. No. She didn't take the shot.
Mm-hmm. No, I know
she couldn't.
But she was taking shots at them. Generally. So
yeah, but he was talking.
Oh no, I know. I know what you're saying, but there's stuff that happens off screen that we, the audience, are not privy to, i.e., who actually does the proper wound to him. It's because I rewinded it back when I was watching it here. Who did that to him? But we're not told.
I think it's Furiosa.
Well, I think it was one-eyed headdress guy who I actually like.
Right. Well,
and there's a really funny line he's got where he tries to be where Furiosa won't tell him where the green place is, when he first meets her. And he goes, he tries to be all cutesy, like you would talk to a kid. Come on, little girl, tell me. He's like the worst sort of, talking to kids.
He's like a pedophile trying to lure a fucking shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, he's like the worst at being cutesy to kids ever. Just, with his horrible, eye missing and all. Just, yeah. And that's one thing, a running theme throughout all of the Mad Max films, the dark humor. The dark Australian humor, which I love.
Yeah, that's standard practice.
Yep.
Even the first half of the Terrible Beyond Thunderdome had that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't get, the mom is this badass, taking sniper shots,
yes.
as you said, and knowing when to pull back. She can't shoot because there's too many of them at this point. So she's got to go in an ambush style to get her daughter back.
Yes.
And so, which she does so with that slingshot, which is kind of cool. Now, what threw me off a bit was, and I know you're going to come back with the motherly thing, but she's pretty there to protect her kid.
Yes.
And so the one woman she doesn't kill because she's, my mother too, she, lets her go. She wouldn't have done that. She would have killed her right on the spot.
It's a motherly thing. Someone like Dementis or a Morton Joe would have killed someone like that on the spot if they went against him. But it's a motherly intuition thing.
But the character's smart enough to know to kill her.
But?
Because she's lying, or I just think it was kind of out of character for what we got. Even though we only introduced her for a brief moment, you saw this just badass.
It works for me because it's because there's more of. Don't forget, there's more of a humanity to the ones in the green place, and their full lives as well, as opposed to these mutant fuckers in the wasteland who are all half lives. It's basically she has more of a humanity to her, so that's why she spurs her. But also, it is a bit of emotional blackmail by this woman, who's saying I'm a mother as well, and maybe she's not even a mother because it could be out and out bullshit, just to spur her life. But she knows how to play on her emotions. She goes, I'm a mother myself, don't kill me, and she falls for it.
That's her fault for getting gutted then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I do like we mentioned this in the previous, besides, stunt team or mannequins taking hits left and right, there's really no graphic violence in the films. It's
the guy,
it's like grunge.
The guy who we've just talked about,
now,
who gets his head cut off, the one who found the green place. There's actually, again, it's not gratuitous, but there's a really quite gory and gruesome touch where whenever he actually dies, the Dementis' dogs come over and lick up his blood.
Yeah, that's more humorous, kind of.
Humor.
Like you just mentioned. And so what I mean is it's not, you're not going to get, it's not a slasher film.
It's not nasty.
And we, like, you see this next, Dementis pretty much exposes Furiosa to these scenes of cruelty is what he's going to pretty much do. Keep her up on a chain and give her Hannibal Lecter mouthpiece there. And so when they kill her mother, and what they're doing here, they're tearing out her guts.
Yeah, they're crucifying
what they're doing.
Out her guts.
And Yeah, so
It's
he has a way of exactly what's happening, but he hides the actual act,
it's not explicit.
and it's done through the child's eyes.
That's also
which is a brilliant shot because it's showing what it's going to turn Furiosa into by witnessing her mother's death.
yes, and it's also
And it's going to be Dementis' downfall.
yes.
By killing her mother and exposing that to her at a young age, Dementis' death will be caused because of this act.
And also regarding the way she dies as well, and it not being gratuitous, it's because, again, back to the brilliant visual storytelling by Miller, it's because just around this scene, the history man, I think it is, prepares human blood sausage for Dementis. That's what he eats. He eats human blood sausages. So
that's the organic mechanic.
Yes. But also
he
also drinks human tears as well, because with them being half-lives, it's heavily suggested that they don't cry as part of their genetic deficiencies. So he's like he drinks some of young Furiosa's tears. Well, it doesn't drink. It's not like he sits over a big glass and drinks it. He sort of gets them and basically licks them, the tears, So yes, he eats human blood sausages, and drinks human tears. But again, none of it is it's all well handled.
I like blood pudding.
Well, yeah. Black pudding, we call it here.
Black pudding.
Yeah.
We call it black pudding actually over here.
Congealed blood.
People don't know what black pudding is in the U.S. If people doesn't know what black pudding is, go ahead and Google it.
Oh,
it's actually fucking awesome. But I got a little Dementis in me, then, I guess you can say.
I had a fry in town last week. Last week. Bit of an aside here. But they accidentally gave me black pudding, and I was like, no, just give me fucking beans. I'm not a cannibal. Like Ciaran is.
You know what? You're not a cannibal. It's pig's blood. Give me a fucking break.
I'm joking, Ciaran.
I'm joking. How are you a cannibal?
I'm joking. I'm making a reference to Dementis eating blood sausage. You know what's brilliantly, what do you call it, a part of Dementis' character as well? The suggested tragic backstory, with the teddy bear.
Yeah.
Which you find out at the end.
When well, it's not even at the end. It's right here. He tells her because he gives her the teddy bear, and he's right there. It's showing he's very protective of this girl. So yeah, when he gives her the teddy bear, he says it belonged to my little ones.
Yes,
and he kind of looks glazed over, like you said, he can't cry or anything like that. But Chris Hemsworth, he's very good in this role. He sells it quite well, and you can see the hurt in his eyes. Just mentioning that, it's a lot like them. He's got actually the same backstory, similar to Mad Max's.
Yep.
And it's just funny how the direction each one of them took. You got Mad Max, who's just kind of a loner, wants to be left alone, but he'll do the right thing if need be. The reluctant hero, as you called him back in The Road Warrior. And then you've got this guy who just went apeshit crazy.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, while Anya Taylor-Joy is great, I mean, she's great generally and great in this film, to me, the real star of this film is Hemsworth. And did you know that Chris Hemsworth first made his name in the Australian soap opera Home and Away? He went, wait, this gets even better. But he's actually returning to the soap because he comes across as quite a humble and pretty nice guy. So he's returning to the soap Home and Away to play the same character, obviously, because he's not forgetting his roots or where he started. And, it's one for the fans of
Good
that.
For him.
So yeah.
Good for him. Good for him. That's fucking good.
And here, he's got a false nose on as well.
Well, do you really think people watch that and go, oh, wow, I didn't realize Chris Hemsworth's nose was that big? Do you really don't think people didn't know that was prosthetic? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, look, it's Chris Hemsworth. Oh, yeah, I remember the Pinocchio nose.
When he was in Home and Away.
Oh, fuck off.
He played a surfer character in Home and Away called Kim.
I don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Nobody cares, actually. Nobody cares.
Home and Away fans do.
Nobody cares about that fact. No, they don't. Australians are like, oh, fuck off, mate. Why'd you bring it up that shite show for?
Sorry.
That's my Australian accent.
I was going to say, are these Australians Scottish or something? With that accent.
That was good accent. That was good.
Right. Anyway, Hemsworth is superb here throughout the whole film.
I like the character of the history man.
Yes.
I like the fact his whole body's tattooed with facts and literature and
yes,
all these things. And I do like the fact it shows that Dementus, human side, and yes, we mentioned the teddy bear incident, but also that he's trying to educate himself
Yes.
on what he lost out on, or the history of what was the world at one point in time. I do like that dynamic. It's funny, the people he cherishes the most, which is the History Man and Furiosa, he keeps caged up.
I believe that Dementus was once a good man, a family man, but like you say, it's very similar to Mad Max's backstory, but he went an extremely dark route, a vengeful, angry, and even he explicitly states this at the end. Whenever Furiosa has got him, he calls her little D. You'll turn, because you think the vengeance will stop the screaming and the madness and the trauma and the pain you're going through. It only makes it worse. So I believe he was once a good man, but once whatever happened to his children and family just put him right over the edge, and he just went too far, and the more bad and sort of crazy things he did, he just went down that rabbit hole until there was no more of the former man left. Again, superb storytelling by Miller.
There is a good scene where a warrior boy sends up a flare, and they meet him on the road, and he goes, "Bring me to your Citadel." And he goes there. And during this part, you kind of see him, he's a leader of a smaller group. And he thinks he's this bad. I know it's completely night and day, don't get me wrong, of a spectrum, but we talked about this with the gang in Dead Men Walking. Yes, they're bullies, and they can be quite effective at bullying and being quite violent. But
Dead Man's Shoes, you mean? Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're dipshits, and they're clueless.
Yes.
They're twats. And this is what Dementus is. He thinks he can go up against these guys, the Citadel and Morton Joe, and Morton Joe pretty much laughs in his face. He shows the self-sacrifice of the warrior boy, which I thought was really cool, and he just blows him out of the water pretty much. And it's actually a really cool little sequence. However, I think George Miller really wanted to show us this grand scale of things, and this is where the CGI kind of, okay, dude, you didn't need to show us all this, and it's a massive CGI world he's kind of created. In Fury Road, it was just kind of, from a distance or a quick shot. This kind of whole sequence is very CGI'd and kind of stands out a little bit for me, but I'm not going to, it's not just to destroy the scene. The point of the scene is to prove that nobody's going to fuck with Morton Joe and his team, and not even Dementus.
Well, I would say as well, although there is, CGI used, where this film does improve on Fury Road is the world building, because we actually, coming up soon, we get to see the likes of Gastown and the Bullet Farm and stuff. So, yes, some of it is realised, especially Gastown with CGI, and there are times when the CGI does jar a little, but because we're so used to, Mad Max films being so practical, but it doesn't ruin it or anything like that. But it does. I
do like the betrayal sequence between Octobos and Dementus, and because he wants to take over Gastown, so he has Octobos's team dress up as warrior boys. So it looks like they're just delivering. They're coming to pick up the oil from Gastown, and so in order for it to look real, Dementus starts killing the warrior boys as if they're being ambushed, get them to open the gates. It's actually a very clever misdirect, considering he's naive and doesn't really understand what he's up against. He does. He kind of knows what he's doing there. So it's clever, but there's nice when Octobos just looks at him and he says, "You're scum, Dementus," because he's taking out his own men.
Yeah, totally. That's right, yeah. And then later on, we'll find out that the Octobos's sort of gang, which are known as the Mortar Fires, I think, they then have broken away and have formed their own splinter group away from Dementus's gang.
Yeah, because they try to take over the rig. And
Yes, that's right. Whenever Praetorian Jack and Furiosa are driving it.
Great scene, actually.
Yes.
So he decided when he takes over Gastown, I do like the whole bargaining chip. He's so bad at it. He's just terrible at it. He doesn't have a leg to stand on, but he does have Gastown, and he does have a detonator, which I don't think is even a detonator. I think he's just playing him. But his detonator goes, I want this and this and this. He gets it, but they get Furiosa. They get the organic mechanic. And then he doesn't get as much. He gets like 1/3. I think he was 1/3 of each of what he was before. And then, but by him doing that bargaining chip and cutting what he really wanted down to 1/4, it's going to cause damage to the community of Gastown. So he's going to lose control of his men, Dementis. I just caught this when I was reviewing it. He actually loses control of his men, who are very loyal to him, but because they're now they're going to be lack of food, lack of milk, and cabbages, whatever else, potatoes. His own team is going to start turning on him, and we'll find that out soon when Praetorian Jack. It's Praetorian Jack.
So it sounds like a dinosaur. You know?
When they go get something, they go back to Gastown. So that this bargaining, the way he bargains, is going to be his downfall as well.
Not only that there, obviously Dementis wants to rule more. He wants to take over the Citadel and also the Bullet Farm. But the problem is he runs, which we find out later on whenever it flies forwards, like so many years, find out that he's completely run Gastown into the ground. He's completely useless because it's like basically civil war there, whereas before, whenever it was under the other guy who was under the control of Immortan Joe, it was well run, and it was a steady ship, albeit a corrupt one, but it was still well run. Whereas Dementis is a useless bastard in terms of running these things.
But that's what I said. His bargaining chip was the reason this happened. He took too little.
Yeah.
And that's why it causes a civil war within his community.
Yes.
But so there's a nice shot where Furiosa is, this is where we're about to turn into Joy takes over the role, where she chops up her hair and she makes this fake wig, which I thought was clever. And when Rectus is trying to kind of seduce her, she escapes from him and hides, and you see her wig fall. And she obviously escapes because it's going to be years later. Yeah. But they don't say years later. They see the wig where it fell, and then this branch it got stuck on has grown out, and there's a lot of leaves on it. Brilliant. So it shows time has gone by. Not exactly how much time.
Once again, brilliant visual storytelling by
Yeah.
George Miller. But just on that, did you hear about the actor who plays Rictus Erectus? He received, because it's heavily suggested that the character is a paedophile, especially in this scene, he received a barrage of serious abuse and threats on social media. And he basically, this is a terrible reflection of the world we live in today, but unfortunately not surprising or shocking either. And he had to come out and basically make a statement saying, I'm an actor, I was playing a role, you dipshits, although he didn't say that, but I would say that, you know what I mean? Stop confusing me with a fictional character I played. Unbelievable. But sadly believable at the same time.
That's the wonderful woke movement. Millennials. You never got this years ago. This is the younger generation just wanting to cry.
Oh, to be fair, like I remember back in even the 90s, on soap operas like Coronation Street, there was a serial killer storyline with this guy, Richard Hillman or something, and that guy was receiving threats in the street. So trust me, humanity.
I've never heard someone taking that by playing a part in the world I grew up in. So yeah, Yucky, but today's generation is worse.
Yeah, social media.
And I guarantee you they could care less what the character is. They just want to cry.
100, yeah.
That's it.
Well, they want a virtue signal and appear, great to their friends in these echo chambers within social media, and it's pathetic, actually.
Well, listen to you, echo chambers of social media. Wow.
What?
Listen to you being all fucking...
What? I'm just saying, it's just a sad reflection of the world today, where an actor gets serious abuse and threats for playing a fictional character in a fictional film. But yes, this has always been a thing, but it's heightened now with social media.
We're introduced to Praetorian Jack, my favorite character in the film. a very cool character, very protective of Furiosa. He's technically, and this is what I think he was written in, because technically he'd be the Mad Max of the film.
100% agree.
So I think that's why he's here. And I almost wish that this was Mad Max and they had brought Tom Hardy back. And that's why there's tension between him, but they never planted that in Fury Road, so they couldn't do it. But they could have kind of planted that seed where that's why there's tension between them and Fury Road, because he's
basically a Max stand-in, and he's a very likable character.
It is, but he does a great job. And I do like the character. And his demise is fucking soul-destroying. Fucking soul-destroying. Again, not showing anything gratuitous, but you don't need to. You still close your eyes.
Well, it's even more
this.
tragic because him and, although they haven't got it on, so to speak, but him and Furiosa have decided they're going to go to the green place together. You know, she's finally come out of her shell to him, you know, and he's basically mentored her, you know, and kept her right, you know, because she was, you know, she was quite immature and that, you know, she wanted to do all alone and stuff, but he was the wise mentoring type character, you know. And yeah, it's a brutally tragic death for him, you know. It
is. Now, their first outing with the new rig, the rig's badass, all fucking chrome and shiny. And this is where you were talking about the Splinter Group.
The Mortifier.
From Dementus. Yeah, they come after him. And this whole sequence is just so fun. And it's just these motorcycles that turn into paraglides. And it's whoever thinks of this shit. And then you have this thing called the Bobby Knocker. And an Octobos gets sucked into it.
I really liked that. I'm so sad he died. The wee guy, the war boy who's like obviously suffers.
The Bobby Knocker guy, the guy who controls the Bobby Knocker.
He obviously suffers from dwarfism, but he's basically tasked with looking after the cabbages beside the Bobby Knocker.
You know what, though? It's funny you bring him up. There's a story behind that kid. He's a kid, by the way. So he was on, he's been bullied his whole life, sadly, because the scumbags around him in real life. So he went on social media, and it's on Facebook. You can watch it. It's on YouTube. And he begged people to stop hurting him. He just wants a friend. It's the most soul-destroying thing you can watch a child go through. And I'm not sure of his age. I don't want to misspeak there, but you felt so sorry for him because he does have some kind of dwarfism or whatever it is. I don't want to misspeak. And George Miller saw that because he's Australian, I believe, or New Zealand. I'm not sure, but George Miller cast him because of that. I thought that was fucking awesome.
No, I mean, again, that goes back to the social media bullying and stuff, you know, and very possibly this kid was bullied in real life as well, you know, just awful. But good on George Miller.
Well, that's what he said. Yeah, that's why he was on. But that's a good thing about social media. He went on there as a platform. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword with social media, really, isn't it? But this whole sequence, again, you kind of got to see it yourself. But again, cooler, you know, and I just love when Octopus gets sucked in and the poor guy gets shot in the head. You don't see it, but sadly, it's Furiosa who has to turn on the Bobby Knocker.
And what's just great writing wonderful. As well is Furiosa at this point is reckless and she makes mistakes, and you can see it, you know, with some but it's the wiser, older, sort of more sort of experienced hand of a Praetorian Jack who then begins sort of mentoring her and showing her the right way. So yeah, brilliant writing.
Now I found out what I had to look it up. So Furiosa starts emulating Jack, and they take an oil slick and they put it over their eyes. And the reason they do that, it's they represent a symbol of authority. So that's how they mark themselves.
I knew it represented something, but I just didn't know what. But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what it means. So if they're coming into a town, whether it's Gas Town or Bullet Town, they know right away that these are the guys we talked to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's why Furiosa in Fury Road still has it to this day. Mm-hmm. I like it's funny because how do I put this? The Citadel, yeah, they're scumbags, but they're trying to make a way of life. And I'm not condoning it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to. I'm not. They're not like causing. They're not doing genocide or anything like that. They're just trying to adapt, whether it's the wrong way. Because when you see Bullet Town, and you mentioned with Gastown how civil was, when you met the guy who controls Gastown, he was doing art.
And Morton Joe's brother,
painting Michelangelo.
That's
or something.
Morton Joe's brother,
and yes, Morton Joe's brother. And then you have Bullet Town, and this guy's just going, listen, we've got a problem. This Gastown, this guy's a joker. This guy needs to go.
Yeah, it goes back to brilliant writing by Miller, because it's a case of the best villains is where they have reasons for being villains, you know what I mean? And in their eyes, they're not the villains. They're trying to make a better world. Like a Morton Joe at the Citadel, Dementis is just nuts, and he's just a bit of a loose cannon, to say the least. But with a Morton Joe and stuff, there's more of a sort of, he's more methodical, and there's a method to his madness, in that he thinks he's making the world, the wasteland, a better place. And technically, in ways he is, especially compared to Dementis. So, yeah, I would certainly back that up, what you're saying.
And it goes also to how smart they can be. So when Morton Joe is getting the information back from what his brother sent, not his brother, but from the Bullet Town leader, Bullet Farm leader, he goes, go back there, and you're going to go back to Bullet Farm, no oil, but fill bullets, ammo, and then we're going to take Dementis out. Because when they go back to Dementis again, it's all wreaked havoc. It's fucking batshit crazy.
It's literally demented. Literally demented.
Yeah, he's like a fucking violent child with throwing his toys out of the pram. At this point, he's lost complete control.
And it's just brilliantly realized, just in sort of every department,
Because they go back, Dementis gives him a message. Then go to Morton Joe and tell him I want a new deal in 3 days at noon. And Morton Joe's like, no. Fill this tank with bullets. We're taking this fucker out now. We're done.
I've had enough of his shit, basically.
At this point, I think at this point too, they're tired of the threats from Dementis, and I think what they're thinking is if he's already lost control of his men, there's no way he's going to be. We'll be able to take him down easily. He's not the threat we thought he was. I guess you could say.
Yeah, and if he can't even control his own men, he has absolutely no hope of controlling one of these communities like Gastown.
When Jack they're heading back to the Bullet Farm, he stops the truck and he gets Furiosa out of the truck and he goes, no, Furiosa, you take this car with the 2 bikes, you drive behind us, and I'm making you, warrior boy, you're going to be in front of the truck, you drive. And Furiosa didn't understand this. I did. He was giving her away.
No,
he was giving her the car. He was giving her the bikes. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here now. She doesn't. She follows with him to Bullet Town, but that's what he was trying to do.
I had a slightly different take on it in that I thought that Jack knew that they were going to go for the ones up front first. So he was actually spurring her, sacrificing war boys for her. That's why he brings the war boy up to the front instead, where it's because he knows that whenever they attack, they're going to go for basically the war rig right at the front of it. So if he keeps her on the sidelines, she would have more of a chance of surviving. So he was basically putting her life above the war boy that he brings up front.
Yeah, I do think, though, he wanted her.
Oh, yeah. He was giving her the option as well.
That was his way of saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole ambush scene was fucking intense.
Yeah.
What a wonderful ambush scene. I mean, it goes to show how badass Jack is. When Furiosa decides to snipe at Dementis and he's on that tower, and all fucking Jack does is just fucking crash into it to bring it down. It's just incredible action scenes.
And also, you go to see how much of her self-serving Dementis is, where he's like throwing his own right-hand man in front of him, and Furiosa's shooting them in the face instead, just so that he can see who it is that's actually shooting at him. He's ruthless.
Well, he did the same thing with Octopus's men.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So sadly, now before this all kicks off, he fires that green flare, and I had looked that up. That was he was telling her to go.
Yeah.
He was telling Furiosa, "Get out of here." The green light, it means go, and that's what he was trying to tell Furiosa when he shot the green flare. Because those flares mean different colors. We kind of talked about that in Fury Road, but green means go, and that's what he was trying to tell her.
Yes.
But she obviously doesn't. She decides to help him. And when they get caught, fucking worst scene in the film. Tragic. She loses her arm, which has the tattoo of where the good place is. And he gets dragged around in circles. We don't see it. They put it away. But again, Dementis is so power-stricken and so egomaniac that he doesn't realize all the dust that's going around and them killing Jack. Furiosa tears off her own arm because it was hanging off anyway after the accident.
It is a little bit of a sort of a film cliche and a bit of a cheat where it's like you spur someone to tell you their evil plan. And James Bond films are well known for it, but how they get away with it is because it's so well realized. So he basically says to Furiosa that he wants her to watch Jack being tortured and killed, but then while basically he's doing this, they're doing that, like you say, with all the dust and stuff, she's forging her escape plan, which is basically ripping off her own arm. And
yeah, but they planted that seed. They even from the beginning, when he made Furiosa look at her mother's death, and then the bicyclist fighting for a bike and making her watch this. That's his nature. That's what he does to her. So he does it again, this time to Jack, another loved one that she was falling for, like her mother. So that's standard play. And then we talked about how we talked about how he's not very good at what he does. So yeah, he gives her the whole spiel, but he's so blinded by his ignorance that she's just going to escape here. So those seeds are all kind of pre-planted for her to be able to make this escape. Hence the reason why it doesn't become that roll your eyes moment. It becomes more
because it's
believable.
George Miller basically behind it, and he knows exactly what he's doing. Yeah. So even whenever there are little cheats that have to happen for the sake of the plot and the story, he will make them work due to planting these seeds earlier on and actually make them make sense. Whereas some films are just like don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a difference between a cheat and this. This is I don't like a cheat. Yeah. They planted this seed. Yeah, it connects the dots.
It's because Miller's a professional filmmaker.
Yeah, this is where we see George Miller. Fuck, there's George Miller. He's in it. Hi guys. Get it? Tongue tied. This is where we see Mad Max sitting on the cliff, and he's the one who takes her to the Citadel.
Yes,
and leaves her there, and so there you go. There's Mad Max cameo, everyone.
But it's important to the plot because he saves her life. And I thought it was a good scene where you see him eating the dog food and stuff, and you see the Interceptor. Love the Interceptor, and it always, it always makes me sad when I see the Interceptor destroyed in a lot of the Mad Max films. Coolest car in film history. Don't care what anyone says. And yeah, it's nice to see him, but I would have liked to see obviously so much more of him, but we didn't get that.
We get this narrator when she's plotting her revenge after she's back at the Citadel, and the narrator talks about, and that's pretty much the history man. The narrator.
Yes,
he talks about how this all became of a 40-day.
There have always been wars.
How this kind of came about.
Brilliant speech.
Yeah, but the one line that is important is everything in this world became eye for an eye, teeth for a teeth. And this is how, and then as he says this, we see Furiosa, getting her arm, the mechanical arm on. She's getting ready for her eye for an eye moment.
It's a great speech by the history man.
So yeah, we get some revenge sequences here for some of the characters, which is fine. It's pretty fun. And then we meet Dementis. I'm kind of broken up a little bit with Dementis. The narrator kind of tells you what happened. obviously she has a chance to kill him right there and then. And the narrator says the story is we don't know if she left him for dead. Did she shoot him right there and then? But the narrator kind of clarifies what I did hear and what I was told, that he was planted among this tree and all these. I think it's silly. To be honest with you.
To me, it totally works, and I'll tell you why. Because there is a sort of, within all of the Mad Max films, there's sort of a Tales by the Campfire or Tales of the Wasteland feel to them all, where it's all sort of a myth and legend mixed with what really happened. I certainly get that feel from all of them. Ties back into the whole Western thing, you know. So I like that there's all like the whole Chinese whispers type of, you know, hard Furiosa. It's a great scene, great head to head by Taylor-Joy and what do you call it, and Dementis at the very end, you know, where he's telling her about you're going to become me. Yes, it's a basic revenge story ultimately. But no, that makes sense with the whole Chinese whispers about what really happened. What did you do to him? Did you crucify him like he did with her mother? And then he says, but actually the history man says, and Furiosa told me this herself. It's pretty much horror, you know, this stuff with the tree. And yes, it is a bit cheesy and a bit sort of horror cheesy, but I like it. And it's down to personal tastes. I like crazy shit like that.
You like it because there's a naked old man underneath the tree.
You were going to say that, yeah.
It's all the way back to your fucking horror.
Well, whenever I
see no, but yeah,
on the tree, I was like, whoa, no, we're joking. But no, it's real. It works for me.
Yes,
for me. And that just.
But do you see where she planted him?
Yeah, it's up at the top of the Citadel.
No, but she planted him where her and Jack bonded for the first time when they put their heads together.
I love that the touch as well, how there's actual fruit grows from the tree, and you see the breeders, you know, she's giving it to the breeders and stuff, they're actually eating the fruit that's come from the Dementis. It's again more cannibalism.
Yeah, because what she needs to do is give them nutrients, because then the next scene, she's getting them out of there. And then we cut to the credits, and then we see Fury Road. I love the credits.
I love how it's that condensed Fury Road in the credits with that superb score, really effective. And you see Nux again. I love Nux.
I hope people catch on and it finds a footing, and we can get a conclusion of Furiosa and Max together. That'd be kind of neat. I'd like to see that, but again, we never know. You never know. But guys, this is the end for our Mad Max retrospective.
Where would you rate them?
And
in order.
Road Warrior, Fury Road, Furiosa, Mad Max, and I don't rate Beyond Thunderdome.
Well, I would rate them in order. So. I think the best one is Beyond Thunderdome. No, I'm really joking. No, I would rate them Road Warrior, the original Mad Max 1, then Fury Road, then Furiosa, then last Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah, see, Max, I think Max is too... Yeah, I like Max. It's tough. They're all good. They all tell a great story, but I just think I like the characters in Furiosa because a lot of them carried over from Fury Road. So I had that stability with, you know, of knowing them.
To be honest, and kind of the first two, the original and Road Warrior, probably a bit of nostalgia there with me as well. But yeah, so it'd be 2-1, then Fury Road, Furiosa, and Beyond Thunderdome for me.
Now, Fury Road almost came first. I was so tempted to say, okay, I might have misspoke. It's not as good as Road Warrior, but I don't know. My bad guys, my favorite bad guys come from the Road Warrior. So I got
Humongous and Wes.
Yeah.
By the way, I thought
running Wells.
Back to the start of Furiosa when we were talking about the mother with the slingshot weapon. I felt that weapon was very similar to Wes's, wee arrowy thing. So a reference possibly, who knows?
But he had a spear gun.
Similar. It's like a wee sort of tiny sort of thing.
He had what do you call it? A bow and arrow gun.
But it was small, so it was almost like a slingshot. I don't know.
No. Okay. Another really rare reference there by Trevor. We got to get that in.
Away, folks. Whenever really Hemsworth returns to it, that's a surfer dude.
Oh, Jesus Christ! All right, guys. Next up, Halloween, month and a half. We got them picked. I have announced them. I put them on the websites. They're ready to go. We are doing Beetlejuice. Then we're doing Beetlejuice. Then we're doing Amityville Horror. We're doing Founders Day. We're doing Dario Argento's and Bava's Demons. We're doing the new Salem's Lot. We're doing the new Smile 2. And we're going to end with Pete Atkins, the screenwriter who gave us the wonderful film Wishmaster. And he's going to jump on board and rate along with us as we talk Wishmaster at the final tail end of Halloween month and a half. So we got a lot of things going on there. Keep ourselves busy.
Halloween month.
So guys, give us a shout on Instagram at CitizenFrame_podcast and of course Facebook.
No, that's about it. Well, all good by me.
All right, cool. Thanks guys for listening. And I don't know, we gotta do another retrospective.
I think we'll.
Oh, you know what? We've been talking about doing instead of like one retro, like would be like Gangster Month and like Cowboy Month, or something.
Quantum Cowboy. Kenneth's just busting to do it.
Yeah. I bet you're busting on that one, you freak.
No, I think we should do a Gangster Month and a Western Month.
So much out there. So much out. Tombstone. I'm here, Huckleberry.
Well, I mean, even the Sam Raimi one, The Quick and the Dead, obviously the Sergio Leone Dollars trilogy and stuff, even some of his other films like Once Upon a Time in the West. There's a lot you can do. Well, you could even have Sergio Leone and Gangster Month with Once Upon a Time in America. So, yeah.
A lot out there. A lot out there. All right, guys. We're done. Take care of yourselves. Chat soon.